Hi everybody, Stephanie Calhoun at Satori Yoga and Healing here. So I've been having some curiosity around ways that we can improve ourselves to better serve our clients here at Satori. And in a recent newsletter I sent out and included a question, how can we improve? So what types of things would you like to see change? Are there particular classes you'd like to see more of? Classes maybe you'd like to see less of? Or what kind of an emphasis are you interested in from us here in what we offer? So unfortunately I didn't get any feedback. And I don't know if that's just you're happy and satisfied with what we're offering. Hopefully that's the case. And if not, maybe you're feeling a little shy or hesitant to truly express what you're feeling. So I posed this question in today's noon hour class that I taught, which is the AyurYoga class. And I posed the question, how do you guys feel about this class in particular? And obviously they enjoy it. They were there today to take part. But the comments that I heard made me take pause. And so basically the question or the comment was that a lot of the time they don't think people know really what the practice is. So first thing I want to do is try to define or describe to you what the AyurYoga class is, what we do with that practice, and how it might be different than other practices you're currently taking, even here at Satori. As well, a couple of them mentioned that when they first practiced it, they actually didn't enjoy it. So that also made me take pause and think about, okay, so I've heard this before, and then the topic came up of, well, I felt this way after I was doing the practice a couple of times, and I felt this way. So I thought I would try to answer or speak to both of these factors and provide you a little more information as to what is this AyurYoga and why should I go take it? And if I've taken it before and didn't really dig it, should I try it again? So what is AyurYoga? The Ayur in the yoga is basically meaning Ayurveda. So some of you probably know that I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, and Ayurveda is an ancient Indian medical system. So the AyurYoga practice is weaving the wisdom of Ayurveda into the yogic practice. So I do this with all of my classes here that I teach. This particular class, the AyurYoga class, is specifically directed towards offering you various teachings and knowledge around what are the vayus, why should I care about wind and how it moves in the body, what direction it's going. So you're getting a little more than just a physical practice, you're getting a bit of education in the class as well. So Ayurveda itself is a 5-element theory system, and in Ayurveda we break that 5-element theory down into 3 primary biological humors, you could say. So these categories are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So along with these 3 biological humors or categories, we weave those categories into there being 3 Ayurvedic seasons to the year. So even though here in this part of the world we have 4 seasons in the year, we still define it as 3 seasons. So the 3 seasons would be Vata season being fall and early winter. So we're just at the tail end of that now. And then Kapha season is late winter into spring, and Pitta season is summer. So we're transitioning right now out of Vata or wind element season into Kapha season, which is more earth and water element based. So with these concepts of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, we try to weave our practices around how can we create the most state of balance or harmonious health through our yoga practices, because yoga is about creating harmony within the body, within the mind, within the spirit, and our emotions. So can we use practices of postures, of pranayams, of breathing practices, kriyas or cleansing techniques, meditations, and emphasis on how we move the body, meaning how slowly, how quickly do we try to build a heat, do we try to cool, do we try to churn in some way, do we try to stir something up. So all of these factors and variables we weave through the practices here in an AyurYoga practice. So for example, where we're shifting into Kapha season, all of us want to be paying particular attention to this because we're all susceptible to falling victim to symptoms of Kapha overload or an increase of Kapha. So Ayurveda believes that we are a microcosm of the macrocosm of the universe. So when something is high or increases in our atmosphere around us within the universe, it automatically impacts us directly because we are made of the same qualities that the whole universe is made of. So if there's more moisture, dampness, or fogginess in the universe around us, literally in nature, then there's more dampness and fogginess and moisture in our own nature. So it doesn't mean we're completely off the hook with how much moisture. Some of us might be. So the practices are tailored to try to bring all of us a little bit closer to balance. And when you find the practices that are particularly helpful and the extra techniques that you can use throughout your daily routine and your seasonal routine, you add those in and you get an even bigger personal package of what is really helping Stephanie maintain balanced health this season. And then how do I need to tweak or change that as we approach the next Ayurvedic season? Okay? So in Kapha season, this late winter to early spring, the practices we're starting to offer here now in the AyurYoga class, as well as all of our classes here, are now emphasizing trying to find a way to start decreasing signs or symptoms of Kapha showing up in our own personal true nature. So what would these qualities be? Right now we're looking at things like cold. Quite obviously, we've had quite a long, cold, rough winter, and so we're approaching, believe it or not, the tail end of this winter. We're at the later part of winter, gearing up for spring. We're so looking forward to that. But with that is going to come a lot of moisture. So once the snow actually starts to melt, once we have that full seasonal shift and things are really changing, then we end up with a lot of muckiness on the ground. So what you might be noticing right now, maybe yourself or people in your life, maybe people that you work with, are a little bit more congested right now, whether it be nasal congestion, stuffy head, blowing their nose a lot, or a chest congestion, a cough that doesn't seem to get able to clear or bring something up. Maybe a sluggishness about the body, wanting to sleep in more, wanting to maybe sit around and eat some ice cream and lay on the couch. Nothing wrong with that, but are you wanting to do that all the time? Is your energy deficient? Are you feeling a little more stubborn lately? Are you sort of butting heads with people and not willing to budge and move in your approach? So all of these things can be potential signs of an increase in Kapha. So the way that we try to decrease those with our yoga practices are by trying to decrease the cold by increasing some heat. Now this doesn't mean we want to make you suffocate, not a stifling heat, not an overwhelming heat, but what we want to do is heat you up enough that you start to get the internal moisture out. So we may do this with breathing practices like Kapalabhati to really clear the congestion of mucus through the chest and through the sinuses and really brighten up and make vibrant the mind. I have another video showing you Kapalabhati, so feel free to take a look at that and make that part of your daily practice. Others could be using Ujjayi pranayama, the ocean sounding breath, that creates a slight constriction through the back of the throat, creates an internal vibratory sensation and builds heat through the throat space. This can be particularly important if there's a mucousy congestion between the sinuses and the chest. And it is warming in general. Your practices will include more stimulating yoga postures, things that are going to bring energy and movement into the legs, where Kapha wants to be stable and sturdy, and we love that quality about Kapha. We just don't want to be so stable that we get stagnant and we just sit around or lie around. So we'll work the legs, we'll move the body with a little bit more vigor, but maintain that nice steady quality so that we have that stable base while we challenge it and push it a little bit. So with the leg work, it'll be a little more invigorating, more energizing. We'll incorporate more back bending, which are naturally invigorating and stimulating poses that help to open up and expand the chest. We'll also take a little more opportunity to call upon the natural strength that Kapha holds for us in the legs, but then challenge the strength in the upper body a little bit more, because kapha is a good solid, the salt of the earth kind of person who holds a lot of natural kapha within them. We want to challenge that for all of us. So a little bit more work of stability for the arms, whether that be a little bit more precisely worked chaturanga, whether it be moving towards some arm balances, shifting and adjusting our downward dogs and transitions towards planks, just in slight tweakings to emphasize decreasing that sluggish quality. Build up a little bit of warmth. Use the nice quality of stamina and endurance that kapha has, and let ourselves hold the posture a little more. So these are some qualities you can expect to find in an AyurYoga class this coming season, during kapha season. So from now right through to spring, this is where our focus will reside, on trying to brighten your spirit, brighten and enliven, invigorate your body, and invigorate the practice, to help stimulate the mind to have a lightness, a vibrancy, while holding on to that stable, steady quality. Now, the things that people might not like about this. It can be physically challenging. It's really tough and makes your mind start to work on you when you're facing a difficult posture. If I'm asking you to sustain a squat or sustain a particular fold or a twist, a maneuver that maybe you're not used to doing, a movement pattern of the body that you've never encountered before, and you're asked to endure it and stay a little longer and let that heat build. Not to the point of depleting you, but just to let the heat build up a little bit. Get things cooking. In that, there's challenge, and challenge creates resistance. The resistance is in the mind. The mind will try to tell us, I don't want to do this, I'm done, I'm out of here. When it's telling you this, that's your opportunity. I call that the moment. In that moment, you've got a chance. Your chance is either I'm going to bail and get out of here and avoid this uncomfortable circumstance that I haven't had to face, or you can face it. So you can pull out your inner strength, face it. I call it looking your shadow in the eye. So look at your shadow, face it head on, and notice what comes up. What is the internal resistance that surfaces? Does it make you angry? Because I get pretty ticked off practicing yoga sometimes. When that resistance surfaces, it's raising or surfacing what's already naturally inherent in me anytime I face resistance. What's your go-to? I get angry. Some people get frustrated, get anxious, or panicky. Some people get emotional. They might feel like they're going to weep. Some people laugh. They don't quite know what to do with the circumstance. Laughter might be the go-to. Others, it's to escape. So next thing you know, you're ready to head out the door, or you just don't come back the next week. So when these things happen, when the anger surfaces, when the emotion surfaces, when you want to bail and get the hell out of the room, that's the moment. That's the yoga. That's the whole point you're showing up. If you're coming to a yoga practice and you don't want to progress in your life, if you don't want to improve some way in your life, why are you coming? You're coming to yoga to make change. It's easy to stay in an old habitual pattern. It's also hard to be in that old habitual pattern because you don't want to be there. We all want to improve. So if we want to improve our health, our well-being, the health and well-being of our bodies, our minds, our spirit, your whole being, if you want to do that, if you want to achieve a more harmoniously balanced state of you, not me, but your best self, then try practices that challenge you in some way. So if an emotion surfaces, let that be your aha moment. This is what it's surfacing. This is what it's doing. The yoga is working on me. It's churning within me. I'm getting the energy to move. I'm clearing up blockages that I've had stuck in me somewhere for God knows how long. I'm starting to hammer through that with the repetition, with the consistent trying, with that persistent behavior. Facing the shadow, looking it in the eye and saying, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. Get over it. Now let's have a dialogue. So you get to have that moment of internal dialogue with yourself to figure out What is your go-to? What's your pattern? Why is it surfacing in this pose, this practice right here? Because we're working effectively in these practices with your own Ayurveda, your own knowledge of your life. We're working with your inherent self. There's nothing more exciting in yoga to me than that, to be able to work your own self, to find out what that self really is, what makes you tick, what makes you shine, what makes you bright, what makes you loving, what makes you angry. All of these factors make you who you are, and there's nobody more perfect than you at being you. So why not figure out what that full potential really is? Do I think yoga practices can allow that to happen for us? Absolutely. Or I wouldn't be still practicing this 26 years after I started. And I'm just at the tip of the iceberg of what this stuff can do for me. I have a lot of growth I need to do. We all do. I know my patterns. I know my MO, what I'm showing up with every time I step on my mat. I know the things that someone's going to say or do or imply to me that are going to just set me off. I'm going to get angry, frustrated, irritated as hell. And how I'm going to react, I can predict it. It's easy to predict. The challenge for me is to change that pattern. To even if I get angry, how do I react? And if I don't get angry, why didn't I? There's always going to be something for me to look at and be curious about. And if I'm not ever willing to look at it or become curious about it or try to change it, I must be happy with being complacent, with being stuck and not progressing. So in the end, I have no one to blame but myself. Yoga has taught me more about myself than anything else in the world, than any life experience, than any other person. And layered on top of that, Ayurveda is yoga. Yoga and Ayurveda are sister sciences. They work cohesively together. So in Ayurveda, when I was blessed to have that brought into my life, that just opened up the floodgates of information, of inner knowledge, of really figuring things out. Again, I've still got a lot to figure out, but it really opened the doors. So if you haven't tried an AyurYoga class yet, and maybe you're a little nervous about emotions surfacing or facing those, if you want to call them inner demons, or facing the shadows, if you're a little nervous about that, you're normal. And you probably should be nervous because it's unknown, and we're all a little scared of unknown territory. But if you've been to a practice and it's churned something up in you, and maybe you feel like you've got to go cry for an hour after the class. I mean, no one comes to yoga to get depressed, but maybe that happens. Look at that as a gift and let yourself cry. Let yourself actually experience that. Let yourself experience being angry and try to make another choice. Try to learn from it. So I challenge you to come and try an AyurYoga class, to try any yoga class, but in particular, if you're interested in this, come try an AyurYoga class. See what we can do to help bring you your state of best health this season. And every season, we shift it up. We have different emphasis in summer, different emphasis in the fall. So right now, if you want to come in, build a little heat, burn off a little bit of congestion, challenge the stability of the body with holding and enduring postures, challenge the strength in the upper body while holding the stability in the lower body. Open your heart, open the chest, open your mind. If this sounds intriguing and it's maybe inspiring and uplifting to you, then please come join us. Tuesday nights 5:15, Thursdays 12:10. Come join us. If you've tried it before, give it another shot. As one of my students said today, I used to hate this practice. Now it's my favorite. You just got to work through it a little bit. Really figure out, once you get used to understanding the terminology and how it feels in your body, to feel your body, and to feel your mind. It might just become one of your favorites. I hope so. So thanks for listening. Feel free to comment below, and feel free to come in and see us. Try an AyurYoga class. Try anything. We'd love to see you come in. Namaste.